to the planning board meeting this evening. I'm sorry we got a little late start. We had a couple of things that had to be resolved here. Took a little bit longer than what we had hoped for. So would you join our Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Catherine, roll call roll, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Kashani?
Here.
Mr. Giardina?
Here.
Mr. Caruso?
Here.
Mr. Malta?
Here.
Mrs. Malton? Here. Mr. Gassi?
Here.
Ms. Corsi? Here. Mr. Artuso?
Here.
Mr. Clardy?
Here. Okay, I guess we'll get going here. Before we start, just if there is anyone here that was for the Providence, Section 9, or for the parking lot expansion, which was at 1050 Gravel Road. Those two have been tabled, so I don't think anyone is really particularly here for that, so we'll move on past that. Okay. With that, Mark, why don't you go ahead and start with the first one on the schedule of matters.
That would be Clem Road Pole Barn located at 1045 Clem Road. Angel Lagares is requesting preliminary final site plan approval along with a public hearing associated with the construction of a 1,920 square foot pole barn on a 2.2 acre lot located in an R2 single family residential district under sections 269-11, 350-11, and 350-36 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Is there anyone here in regard to this project? You want to go ahead up to the microphone?
The applicants, you
No,
guys
it's the
can come up
applicant. I'm
to
referring to
the
the
podium and
I'm
discuss
sorry.
your application with the board.
Good evening. I just wanted to clarify, it's 1054. I think somebody said.
Why don't you do this first? Let's start. Why don't you give us your name and address first,
Sorry.
okay?
It's Sandy and Angel Lagares,
Okay,
1054 Clem Road, Webster, New York, 14580.
okay. Go ahead with whatever you wish to say.
We'd like to place a pole barn in our backyard. It's 30 by 60 by 14. 32, sorry. And the reasoning for this pole barn is because we have lawn equipment, patio furniture. We have different things that we'd like to place inside the pole barn to keep out of the elements. And we do also have a shed in the backyard that it's been there since the house was built, according to other neighbors. And we'd like to take that down after we hopefully are able to build our pole barn.
Is that what, do you have anything else? That's it, okay. All right, I know you've sent all your information in. My opinion is lacking some things that would be required, and I would have to say I'd refer you to chapter 350-36, which he just said, and everything is spelled out in that of what's required. I see what you've got, and you're showing trusses. To this board, the trusses mean nothing. That would be okay for the building inspector. But we have to have a number. What's the distance from the lot line for this project?
15 feet.
15 feet. See, there's nothing on here that shows this stuff.
It was, I think I put it on the survey.
I don't see it.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
When I dropped off the survey, I drew a drawing on it stating that it was going to be 15 feet away from the lot line.
Have you got anybody got that? I don't see it. I see a rectangle. You're drawing 30 by 60, but okay. So you're gonna be 15 feet. So we can put 15 feet in there. But
Yes, and it's gonna from the corner of the house is going to be actually the corner of our house it's gonna be actually 100 feet away from that.
Yeah, see, and that's okay, because your lot is large, you know, I
Correct.
think it's great, it's a heck of a nice operation, but there's requirements you have to have. What's the height of this building? What's the height of your house?
The height of the house,
Yes, to your peak,
I think it's like 16 feet.
16 feet?
Yeah, or 18 feet, I'm sorry. 18.
You sure which it is?
That,
Are you sure the height of it?
it's from the backyard, it's 18 feet.
Okay, so this, from what I've seen on the drawing, you're 14 and a half foot of wall, and then from your wall up to the peak of the shed, there's no dimension, I don't know how high that is. It looks like 6, 7 feet?
Oh, it's gonna be a 412,
Yeah, 412 pitch on it.
right.
I see that, but what's the height of the building?
It's gonna be, I think like 17 feet to the peak.
Yeah, no, I got that, it's 14, but what's the here to here then? Okay. See what I'm saying? You're supposed to have the elevations of it.
I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, man, I don't know, what do you guys want to do? I just took some notes on it, the plan doesn't show the side dimension, there's no elevations on the drawing. Samples, this board is always required, you know, a sample of the color, or whatever you're gonna use for your material.
Should be on there.
What's the height of the main structure, I just mentioned that.
We want samples, so.
I don't know, I'll let you guys get into it.
Well, we certainly need all the information.
What's that?
I say we do need all the information.
Well,
So one of the clarifications I just wanted to see, because I've seen two drawings so far, one said 30 by 60 and the other one says 32 by 60. Is it 30 by 60 or
It's 32 by 60.
So it's 32 by 60?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it would be helpful is having that on that survey map that you have to scale drawn, because I don't think it's drawn to scale on that survey map. I think it's drawn bigger than if it was drawn to scale, what 30 by 60 would look like. And then providing the actual dimensions from the property line so we know roughly in relation to the property where you're proposing it, so that we know where it's going to be sited, would be very helpful. The elevation peak is what we need, so to the top of the truss, not to the header wall, to the side wall, we need to peak, so we know what the height of it is, in relation to what your house is, so that we know, is it going to be larger than your house, is it going to be, visually what will it look like, would be helpful too. And then material, just, we got a rendering, is it gonna be the gray and black?
It's gonna be gray and black, yeah.
Okay. And then also, how are you looking to get access to the back, to the barn? Are you looking to extend your driveway all the way to the barn? I also see that you have on the eastern side, another larger gate, overhead door. Are you gonna have a driveway to the side of that too, or is it?
No, that's gonna be more for the lawnmowers and the tractor and so
Okay.
on, so I can go in and out with those.
Okay. It would be helpful to know, are you looking to do stone all the way to the barn? Are you paving it to the barn?
For now,
Okay.
yes.
If you could sketch that into the survey plan too, would be helpful.
how many units, what is there on the site right now? You have 2 buildings on there?
There's a pole barn, there's like an old, shed type of thing, it's pretty old. It's like, I say about,
It's when the house was built,
yeah,
like in
it's
the
pretty old.
50s.
Okay, and then there's a smaller structure there also?
There's a smaller shed against the house, yes.
Okay, when you're looking at the back, where you have the current shed or whatever it is there,
Mhm.
there's Josh, could you go down a little bit with that, please?
The back.
To the back of it.
Yeah.
You can look right there. There's another thing right there.
This?
Yeah,
what-
that's actually the old shed that's gonna come down.
Okay, and what's the other thing? That's it, what's that?
That is,
Was a greenhouse at one point.
oh, that was a greenhouse at one point, and we made it into a chicken coop.
Okay, I guess you'd have to clarify that too. You're only allowed, a shed, and one building like what you're proposing.
Okay.
That would be 3, you'd have, we have to get a variance for that, Josh?
We'll check into the dimensions of what's existing there. But yes, it does appear that there's one more structure than what's allowed.
That's what I'm saying,
Are there chickens
yeah.
in
Yes.
the chicken coop?
Yeah.
Okay,
Where do you see that?
because technically that requires a special permit as well.
Does it? Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and if you're gonna remove that, perhaps you wanna, like, cross it off with survey.
Okay.
Okay, not to waste a whole lot of time and hold you guys up either, but can we ask that you table this thing?
Yes.
And
Yeah, I'll get you
I
more.
would suggest get a copy of the part of the code.
Okay,
It's the simplest way, and you can just see exactly what needs to be received, okay?
absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, and then we can, and then you can get your preliminary and final all at one time, I think, at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a public hearing. Okay, hold on, wait a second.
Thank you.
Also, there's another thing I was gonna add under there
I
too.
did have just one more question. Are you running any electrical to the barn?
Not right now.
Okay. And is the intended use just personal, nothing business related or anything like that?
No, all just personal, yes.
Okay, yep, if you can grab a copy of that, you can get it
Yeah.
from the town,
Okay,
and then just follow that, and then you have, whoever's doing it, will generally, they give you a small sample, this is what we're using, these are the colors, just something that we
that you can see.
can refer to, that's all.
Okay,
Simple.
yep.
Okay, then we can do a preliminary and final all at one time with that, if
Okay.
everything is good,
Okay,
okay?
thank you so much.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, go ahead. Yeah, give it 3 minutes.
My name's John Bustard, my wife's here with me, Chris. We're from 1050 Clem Road, which is the house right next door. We're the ones that sent to the planning board last Thursday a 4-page document with pictures and all that sort of stuff, so we could try to get things across. And I don't want to repeat all that. What I wanted to do is just give you all a quick summary of a 1-page document, and I have copies that people can have. I don't know how we get those to you folks, so here they are. But basically, from what we've seen, the approximate size of the house is, or the building that they're building is 1970. No, I'm sorry. I got that's the wrong document. Let me, that's my fact. Sorry, I didn't know what did I do with it? So anyway, we believe the proposed building is excessive. It's 97% of the footprint of our house and 78% height of a 2-story house. Ours is 18 feet to the underneath the gutters. The town code supports an accessory building that is 25% of the building or less than 600 square feet or 2% of the lot size, 1,920 square feet. Our neighbors are proposing 1,920 square feet, which is the upper limit allowed only because of the lot size. So we say build it. Just make full use of the 2.2 acres, and most important, keep it 100 feet from our property line. This is really a big building. We think this is a reasonable request. It is what we put in our letter to the planning board last Thursday. The core question to us is not whether to build the proposed pole barn, but where. That assumes the planning board believes the proposal fits within the character of residential property in Webster. We want to enjoy our property. We're both in our 70s. We never know when health issues would require us to move, at which time property values are also important to us. So both further enforce why 100 feet from our property line is appropriate. We have friends that live in a residential neighborhood where a commercial business was grandfathered. They tell us to make sure the intent of the pole barn is not now or in the future for commercial purposes. On Sunday, I asked if the 40-foot plus 40-foot RV was going to be inside the proposed pole barn. I was told it was not, nor is it any of my business what the purpose of the proposed pole barn is. It's a big building. In summary, as we said in our letter last Thursday, we are supportive of the proposal if it's built at least 100 feet from our property line and its use is 100% residential. We believe both are reasonable requests. Furthermore, the picture up here says 30 by 60. They're proposing 32 by 60. The picture up here isn't where they want to put it. The map they had in the town and the picture that's up here aren't the same. If they put it where it was on up here, hallelujah, that's 100 feet away. Where they're proposing is not 100 feet away from our line. I don't know if you have any questions.
Well, we appreciate your comments.
Okay, no questions?
I have no questions.
No, I mean, I think there's just a clarification. Again, we requested the survey map is gonna have dimensions off the property line and dimensions to the location. And again, it's what will be at the next planning board meeting that's gonna be the governance of the document.
But the discussion we've had from them, they want it much farther closer to our property line. The opinion is it's their property, they should be able to do anything they want. And I would like to reiterate, just look at the size of this thing. Our neighbor put a 30 by 40.
Okay, we don't, listen, I don't want to get into your neighbors.
No, we're happy with our neighbor.
Let me-
It's 30 by 40, and we put a picture of it in our information to you
We've
so you
asked
can
him to
see the
modify,
size.
we've asked him to modify his presentation. He'll come back in. We will not close the public hearing. We'll leave it open, so this won't be the end. So we'll leave the public hearing open, let him come back, let's see what changes they make in their presentation and where they locate the building. If they can modify it to please you somewhat, I guess that's up to them. But they meet the requirements.
And your conversation's being heard, you'll have another opportunity at
Yes,
the next
absolutely.
meeting to be heard again, so I think at this point, we understand, I think they understand where you're coming from, and so, if you have anything else to add, but I think we all get what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, anyone else wishing to speak on this? No one? All right, we won't close the public hearing. The public hearing will remain open, so when the applicant returns, probably next month, we'll open it back up again, okay?
We need to make a motion to table it.
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea, go ahead.
When are we meeting next month, July 1st or July 8th?
July 1st.
First, make a motion to table 1054 Clem Road to July 1st.
Okay, we have to have a second,
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're good, okay, we're good. Okay, go ahead, Mark, next application.
Ambience Nail Spa sign located at 1028 Ridge Road, Suite 100. Applicant Nick 2 is requesting sign approval associated with the installation of a 60 square foot channel letter building mounted facade sign on a 9.1 acre lot located in a high intensity commercial district under sections 265-7 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
good. My name's Rochelle Acker. My home address is 11 Ruddy Duck Lane in Greece. This is my sister.
Hi, I'm Christy Phillips.
Hi, welcome to Webster.
We're business partners. We're opening a play cafe in the town center plaza on Holt Road. And we would like to ask to build or have an outdoor sign installed on our building to identify our business. And the name of the business is Play a Latte. And I have the dimensions of the sign as 180 inches long by 24.4 inches tall.
I got something to look at doing.
What's that? No, I don't know it. Just for a second.
Okay.
I'm looking at what the agenda was and you were later on, but I
Oh, I'm
guess-
sorry, it was just
No,
because
it's okay. You're
I
okay.
didn't think it was what you said, but then you pulled up our picture, so I was confused.
Yeah, that's what I read, Ambience Nail Spa.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
got the wrong sign.
Is that the one you read?
Sorry, I can come back up after it.
Well, look at, while you guys are there, if they don't mind, go ahead. This shouldn't be
Okay.
a big deal. Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Well, you gotta-
Let me read it into the record, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. This is a Play a Latte sign,
yes.
okay, located at 1028 Ridge Road, Suite 130. The applicant, Rochelle Acker,
Yes.
is requesting sign approval associated with the installation of a 35 square foot illuminated channel letter building mounted facade sign on a 9.1 acre lot located in a high intensity commercial district under section 265-7 of the code of the town of Webster.
Correct.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's try all over again, go ahead.
Okay, you want me to just state that again?
No, you're
No,
fine.
you're
Oh,
okay
okay.
with that.
You got anything
Okay.
else you can add? If not,
No, I think that's it. It's just this outdoor sign to identify our business.
Okay.
Are you guys open right now?
No, we're aiming for mid-August, as long as all the construction goes on time.
And what do you have there? What is this?
So it's gonna be an indoor play area for children and a cafe for the parents and caregivers. So a place for, parents to come and connect with other parents while their children play.
Okay.
We'll also host birthday parties.
See, we're giving you commercial time here.
Yeah, we've been practicing our pitch, so.
Okay, sign meets the requirements, Josh, okay,
Yes.
for the facade? All right, anybody have any issues with the sign?
Nope.
Okay, gonna do a secret on it? Here, go ahead.
The Town of Webster Planning Board considered the request by Rachel Acker to install a 35 square foot illuminated channel letter building mounting facade sign for Play a Latte located at 1028 Ridge Road, Suite 130, on a 9.1 acre parcel having SBL number 079.12-1-20. The planning board classifies the proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617C2 of the State Environmental Quality Review Regulations, and therefore is not subject to further review.
Okay, we have a motion, need a second.
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if everyone is okay with the sign, you wanna make a motion for it?
I'll make a motion for is that Rachel?
Rochelle.
Rochelle Anchor of Play a Lot signs located at 1028 Ridge Road, Suite 130, for a 35 square foot illuminated channel letter building mounted sign as presented.
Okay, that's a motion, we need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're all set. Guess you're all set.
All right, thank you.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting them go ahead of you guys. All right, now we'll go back to the ambient sign.
Read
Nails.
it again.
I'm sorry.
You want it in the record again?
Yeah, just go ahead. What was the next one in line? That one's all right.
The other one is.
Ambience.
Ambience nails.
Spots.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
Ambience nail spa sign located at 1028 Ridge Road, Suite 100. The applicant, Nick 2, is requesting sign approval associated with the installation of a 60 square foot channel letter building mounted facade sign on a 9.1 acre lot located in a high intensity commercial district under section 265-7 of the code of the town of Webster.
Yes, sir.
Evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. My name's Nick. I'm looking in, well, if I may, with your blessing, I'm looking in to install a sign which is 2 feet by 30 feet for the space. I believe it's acrylic, single channel letters.
So where you're putting the sign, like, it's in 3 different sections. You're taking that whole section of the building then?
Yes, that main section,
Okay.
correct, yes.
All right, that meet the requirements okay there, Josh?
Yeah, he's right up to the maximum allowed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's pretty good size, huh? Is this lit or not lit?
Yes, it has a LED light in there.
Inside?
Inside, correct, yes.
Okay. And the color is what you're showing pretty much, so it's...
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody, any issues with it?
No.
No?
Okay, yeah, LED lightweights, modules, yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead, we'll do a secret on it.
Very good. Town of Webster Planning Board consider a request by applicant Nick 2 to install a 60 square foot channel letter building mounted facade sign for Ambiance Nails Spa located at 915 Hard Road, on a 9.1 acre parcel having SBL number 079.1-1-20. The planning board classifies the proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617.5C2 of the state environmental quality review regulations, and therefore is not subject to further review.
Okay, we have a motion, need a second.
Second.
A second, all in favor? Signify by
Aye.
Aye, that's good. Motion for approval for Ambiance Nail Spa.
I'll make a motion for Ambiance Nail Spa. Yeah, design located at 1028 Ridge Road, Suite 100, by applicant Nick Tu for a 60 square foot channel letter and, facade sign there that's internally lit as presented.
Okay, that's a motion, need a second.
Second.
Got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, good, all right, I guess you're all set.
Well, thank you very much, folks.
Yep, you
Thank
can
you.
deal with the town then for whatever you need to from this point. You can deal with them
Okay,
for the permit and stuff.
okay, great, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Charles.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Good one.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda tonight, EV charging station located at 915 Hard Road. The applicant, Bridget O'Connor, is requesting preliminary final site plan approval along with a public hearing associated with the installation of 2 dual-port EV charging stations in the parking lot of the Fairfield Inn on a 2.19 acre lot located in a high-intensity commercial district under sections 269-11 and 350-19 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Good
Yes,
evening. My name is actually John Marcotte. Bridget couldn't be here, so I'm just her
That's okay.
counterpart. She's actually at another planning board meeting somewhere else in New York.
Okay.
But yes, I am here on behalf of ChargeSmart EV. We are proposing, like that was said, dual port EV charging stations. They're going to be powered off of the existing transformer behind the hotel. That utility design has been approved. Pretty small scope in perspective of some of the EV projects we do. So normally we would put 4 level 2 stations. This is just 2 level 2s. So they provide charging for up to 4 cars at one time. The stations will be set behind the curb. They'll have vehicle protection, bollards and whatnot. And then our electrical contractor will install a small panel to hook the chargers to, and then hook the panel basically to the transformer that was already opened up and investigated. Like there's free conduits in there and whatnot. I know some preliminary drawings were submitted. That's the page I was going to say to look at here. Kind of highlights the panel there. Right to the south of the panel is the existing transformer, and then the 2 dual port units. It looks like we're going to be removing a couple shrubs there to fit the chargers. All this was customer approved. They're looking to have these chargers put in. That's pretty much the gist of it. I'll pause and see what questions there are.
Is
So
this
there's no
just,
changing parking space, the existing parking lot's right?
Yes, sir,
It
yeah.
is what it is, right?
Yep, it doesn't affect the parking count. We use the existing stalls.
Okay.
is this for customers only, or is it open to the public?
Technically, it's open to the public, but we find that, with charging stations at hotels, like anybody that's going to charge there, with these being level 2 stations, those are essentially overnight chargers, 6 to 8 hours or whatever it is. So we find that most people are staying at the hotel. That's the idea behind it. But technically, someone needed to charge a few miles, they can pull in. I don't think the signage is non-restrictive, would be at the end. Yeah, it's it just the signage at the last page of the plans just obviously highlights that it's EV parking, but it's not specifically restrictive to
I'm
hotel
curious
guests.
on these, what, do you have, is there, you put a credit card in, or these are free, or how does these work?
As far as I know, I don't actually have an EV yet. As far as I know, it's all through your phone. So as far as finding the chargers, a lot of hotels we work with, they want them out front because they think people are going to drive by and say, oh, there's a charger there. And there is some truth to that, but for the most part, people will pull up an app on their phone, It brings you to it like a gas station, so you're essentially following a direction from your phone. Go up to the charger. Like I said, these are overnight, so people aren't, going to a level 2 station to charge for 20
But
minutes.
are they courteous or courtesy or do they pay for these?
Oh, you pay for them. Yep.
You do pay, that's what I was
Yep.
wondering.
Yeah, there's how it's factored is by like amperage used. Every EV, if it's a big F-150 Lightning, I'm sure the battery is larger on one of those than it would be like a Prius. As far as I know, it's somewhat in the ballpark of like filling up your gas tank. Again, I don't have an EV, but I think it's maybe $30-ish for a full charge, somewhere in that range. But the hotel does have, decision-making power to charge what they'd like
Sure.
per kilowatt used or whatever it is.
Yeah, if they didn't, I bet you'd have a line wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anybody? So we've had a couple of these come in.
Yeah, we've had these before.
What's that?
We've had these before, and every time we have the discussion, the thought always comes to mind, is this charging station actually owned by the hotel, or is it like
Yes.
an independent company that's being contracted?
Yep, so it's owned by the hotel. After we do the install, basically how our business works in a nutshell is, we install the chargers, right? We hire out an electrical contractor to install the chargers, and then at that point, it's like a revenue share. So I don't know the specifics of how the revenue split is made, but then the hotels own and manage the charging, rates, what they want to charge, and there's some divide there, and I think, we usually have like a 5-year revenue share, I think is like the standard. And it's a percentage of however much charge is being used at the stations.
It's not a separate company, it's...
No, no.
The one thing I'm wondering about is, well, we've talked about this before, right now we kind of have a gap in the code in regards to EV stations. And in the past, when we've talked about it, we've gone down the path of, well, it's similar to a gas station. Pull up, pay, get electric, as opposed to getting gas. Is that something that we would see as consistent use for this area under the zoning, based on acceptable uses?
Yeah, I mean,
like because it'd be automotive in a sense, or?
Yeah, because we don't, in the code, we don't have like a model code for
Yeah,
EV
gotcha.
stations right now. The only thing that the code has in it is 350-19-820, which talks about gas stations, which is the sale of gas for vehicles. Really kind of the closest thing for sale of electricity for a car. Is that something, has the town really kind of thought that, well, we can treat it as that until we get a model ordinance in place?
no, I would not be a proponent of likening this to a gas station. I personally feel that it's a much different, it generates a much different amount of traffic. I think the percentage share of electrical vehicles versus gas-powered vehicles is relatively low. So I look at it more as an accessory use. We've allowed them in some of our shopping plazas and other businesses in town. So I don't think they have the same impact that a gas station with convenience store would. They tend to be parked, longer periods of time. There's not as much turnover. So we do recognize that there is the gap in the code, as you mentioned, but we've been treating them this way by bringing it to the planning board just to make sure that we're looking at them on a case-by-case basis. But vehicle service stations alone, already as it is, are only allowed in like a 1-block radius in the whole town. So I would not be a proponent to liken this to a gas station.
But it sounds like, following the conversation, this thing was actually owned and operated by the hotel. And then, when you mentioned it really is an accessory structure to the hotel.
Yeah, I'll say kind of to your point, these are level 2 stations, which I mentioned are like overnight stations. So it'd be one thing if they were the level 3s, which are DCFC stations. I think it's like direct current fast charge. Those are charge up in 20 minutes. I'm not saying that's a gas station, but I would say there's more parallels there. These are you know, kind of to the accessory structure point, like, more so for the hotel to say like, hey, we can also have guests that have EVs. So when you park to stay the night, which people, you know, stay the night at a hotel, they can get a full charge overnight. So it's not like a quick, it's not like a quick,
To put it really straightforward, what I'm looking for is a portion of the code that we have right now, that we don't have to say, this has to be.
yeah, it's, I mean, we see it in like it's a newer,
I
you know,
just want
EV
to make
chargers
sure
are
that
newer
there's some portion
perspective.
of the code that covers this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be something we need to get a variance on before we do an action.
Right. No, it's definitely a topic being covered as part of the comprehensive plan update.
What, for tonight's purposes, what portion of the code should we consider this covered with?
Well, I would just, let's see, an accessory, well, yeah, I mean, technically it's a physical addition to the site, so it triggers a site plan review. That's how we've been handling it in the past. We haven't really likened it to a separate use, if you will.
So it would be another accessory provisions of the two codes referenced in the agenda.
Yeah, so that site plan review and then the district regulations associated with the HC, which I guess goes back to the principal use of a hotel, which is permitted.
Okay. And this was accessory to the hotel.
It'd be interesting just to see if any other communities have enacted this. It's a good point.
Oh, there are other communities, there is actually.
They have got it?
There is a model code for.
Really?
Electrical.
We've seen a bunch of both. I mean, some municipalities are electrical permit. I've never seen a specific EV permit, but usually it triggers site plan review. In a municipality that requires like a planning board review, it's usually like, that's what I've seen. But yeah, sometimes it's pull a building permit and an electrical permit and have a zoning board or planning board review it. Really just depends on the municipality. But what I've seen so far is like, bigger picture, there's not like, it's kind of a newer thing still in perspective, so a lot of townships don't have anything in their code about it, and sometimes they say just, you don't even need a permit. I don't think that's going on here, but that's pretty few and far between. But yeah, we see in all sorts of different towns, like everybody kind of has something different going on as far as the code goes.
I think, Derek, if Fairfield did not own it and implement their charging structure to it based on their transformer that they have there, like if it was just smart charging it, so it's an independent entity,
Exactly.
it wouldn't be an amenity that Fairfield is essentially offering as part of their services. So.
Right. Okay, so we're covered.
Okay,
Could
again,
you-
this is a public hearing, so I don't know if there is anyone here wishing to speak either for or against this proposal. No one? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing, bring it back up to the board. Anybody have any concerns over this?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Could you scroll up just 2 pages? No, up the other way, I'm sorry. Keep on going, okay. Electrical vehicle parking only, unauthorized vehicles will be towed at vehicle's owner's expense and risk. Now, you're saying that these charging stations are connected with the Fairfield Hotel, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, shouldn't that be included on there somewhere on the sign?
Yeah, that does appear. I'm sorry, I scanned through that. That's sometimes often like we'll change the sign per municipality. So like some municipalities won't want it to be restrictive. In this case, does kind of look restrictive. If there's any, I guess if there's a specific sign you'd like to see or any sort of verbiage, we can absolutely implement that. I guess to understand your question, you want the hotel to be listed on the sign?
I'm just bringing out a scenario and let the rest of the board members chime in on it if they think that should happen.
Yeah, as far as the signage, I'll say this, you know, again, like it's kind of per the municipality. If you guys want non-restrictive, we're doing like a lot of work in Buffalo where they want non-restrictive signing, for example. If you want it to be non-restrictive, we can do that. It's also, you know, sometimes the hotel will want a specific signage. So I guess that's kind of, I'm open to, I guess, hearing if you guys have any preference on that.
What would be your reason for wanting that?
I just want to cover bases, so somebody pulls in and is not registered with the hotel and decides to use the charging station, perhaps it walks down the street to go get something to eat at Bill Gray's or whatever, somebody who was at the hotel wants to use the charging station, but it's being used by a non-occupant of the station, of the hotel.
Yeah, but the-
I'm just reading this.
The deal is, this is a long-term charger. So it's an overnight charger. So if somebody that's not at the hotel will end up sleeping in their car.
But I'm reading it as electric vehicle parking only. So if your car's a gas and it's not electric, then they can tow it.
Yeah, that's more or less what that signage was before.
It says nothing about using it, charging your vehicle if you're not part of the hotel. This just says if you park here and your vehicle isn't electric, we can tow it.
Right, someone was looking for a quick charge.
Discretion of the hotel, however they want to.
Yeah, it's kind of up to the hotel to enforce that.
It's their apparatus.
But if someone's looking for a quick charge, they're not gonna go to a level 2 station. They're gonna follow their phone to a level 3. You know, you see them outside of like a Wegmans or a grocery store or something, because people are plugging in, shopping, they're back in 20 minutes, they've got a full charge. So that's kind of like, I guess, back to the beginning, like, people aren't really pulling into these hotels, which are the majority of our business, that they're not pulling in for like a quick 20 minutes. It's not really gonna amount to anything in their car. I mean, I think they'll get a couple miles or whatever, but yeah, I think that sign is more so like if a big diesel F-250 pulls in, like you can't park.
Josh, can you roll back to where it shows it on the site there, if you could, please? Okay, now where they're located, do they put bollards in front of them or anything to protect them?
Yes, sir. Yep, bollards in front of the
They do put
chargers.
them there, okay.
And then bollards in front of the gear, the switch gear or the panel board. You can call it about
okay.
7 different things.
Just curious, I mean, just protect it, I don't know.
Yeah, we always put like vehicle protection around just because like it's electricity and you
Alright,
want to
anybody
be
have
careful
any
with that.
issues? No, guys, you okay with it?
Yeah, that's fine.
You guys are all okay, Jerry? Alright. Okay. We'll close the public hearing, go ahead, do a seeker on it, we'll move forward.
So this is one of those things that because it is newer than seeker, it winds up being an unlisted action. It's just not listed right now for
Yeah,
seeker.
okay, makes sense.
Town of Webster Planning Board consider a request by applicant. Would you like me to use your name or go?
You can use my name, I think that'd be fitting. It's John Marcotte.
John Marcotte, to install 2 dual port EV charging stations in a parking lot of Fairfield Inn located at 915 Hard Road on a 2.19 acre parcel having SBL number 079.11-1-21.2 and in a high-intensity commercial district. The planning board determines that the proposed action is an unlisted action. The planning board determined that the action is subject to single agency review pursuant to part 617.6B4 of seeker, and that it is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of significance. The planning board therefore designates itself lead agency for the proposed action. The planning board is giving consideration to the criteria for determining significance as set forth in section 617.C2 or C1 of seeker, and has 1, consider the information contained in the short environmental assessment form, part 1, dated May 12, 2025. 2, consider public comments directed to the planning board during the public hearing on June 3rd, 2025. And 3, completed parts 2 and 3 of the environmental assessment form. Now therefore it be resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board hereby determines that the proposed project will not have a significant adverse effect on the environment for reasons set forth in an attached notice of determination of significance. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board is authorized to take all actions reasonable and necessary to file a negative declaration and discharge the Town of Webster Planning Board's responsibility as lead agency for the action. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board, based on the information analysis above, the reference supporting documentation, and discussions of the actions by the Town of Webster Planning Board as documented by the minutes for this meeting, that the proposed action will not result in any significant environmental impacts. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board therefore makes its determination of non-significance. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board, based on the above reasons, issues a negative declaration as evidence of its determination.
Okay, then we have a motion, we need a second.
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll have to do a preliminary and a final
Public hearing.
for this one. You want to make a motion for preliminary?
It's a public hearing?
Yes. I opened it.
Okay.
Already did.
Yeah.
Then I closed it.
Okay. Just keep your notes.
No one else.
Somebody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion for preliminary site plan
15 Hard
approval
Road?
at 915 Hard Road. For 2 dual-port EV charging stations in the parking lot of the Fairfield Inn. And that is subject to PRC comments, if any. All improvements shall be constructed according to the specifications of the town of Webster. Any site work could be in compliance with the standards of the town of Webster. Comply with all requirements of any state, county, or town agency. That's about all I can see there.
Okay.
Subject to drawings as shown, and proceed to final approval.
Okay, that's preliminary.
Yep.
And need a second to
I'll
that.
second it.
And a second, and
Mr. Malta?
Aye.
Mr. Kosel?
Aye.
Mr. Gassie?
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina?
Here, yes.
Mr. Kashani?
all right, just for the record, we did open it to the public, and there were no comments, so just for the record, let it be shown that there was no response from anyone in regard to this. Okay, and for final approval?
Okay, I'll make a
Go
motion.
ahead.
Make a motion for final approval for 2 EV charging stations located 915 Hard Road, associated with the parking lot of Fairfield Inn. Subject to project review committee comments, subject to preliminary approval conditions, subject to any applicable government fees, subject to Department of Public Works approvals. Significant construction shall occur within 1 year, as deemed by the planning board to expire on June 3rd, 2026. Conditions of preliminary and final approval are depicted on the cover page of the final design plans. I don't think we need a letter of certification or a letter of credit. No?
I think you got it, good.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion for final approval. Need a second.
Second.
Mr. Malta?
Aye.
Mr. Kosel?
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman?
Aye.
Mr. Gassie?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina?
Aye.
Mr. Kashani?
All right. Okay, I guess you're all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good luck. Okay, Mark.
Okay, next item on the agenda tonight, Sierra Trading Post located at 900 Holt Road. The applicant is Kim, I apologize if I mispronounced your name, Kim. Gergen, okay, of Wegmans Food Market Incorporated is requesting preliminary final site plan approval and a public hearing associated with enclosing a portion of the existing former Chase Pitkin outdoor space to create a new tenant space on a 28.7 acre lot located in a high-intensity commercial district under sections 269-11 and 350-19 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Good evening, my name is Evan Gaffel with Cottage Engineering, and this is Kim Gergen with Wegmans. So the plan for the Wegmans Plaza is to enclose the southern portion of what it was formerly the Chase Pickens outdoor area, storage area, or display area. So the building is going to be Sierra Trading Post. The building will have 2 walls in between the southernmost wall and the Hobby Lobby, 19,000 square feet. In the rear of the property, we will be removing some of the canopy, leaving the remainder piece of the canopy as there's egress from Hobby Lobby. There will be a single loading dock and a trash compactor We, during concept, looked at different truck routings, and we were able to get it into the site without crossing into oncoming traffic, and the CR Trading Post has agreed to. All utilities are already within the site, private. The sanitary will connect to a stub that's in front of the building out in the parking lot. The water will be in the rear, and the storm will go to the rear. The storm, we pulled out the drawings from the original design of the plaza. It is within the same drainage area, and we are really, it's not really adding impervious surface to this area. One of the comments that we had received was on the elevation of the building to get rid of some of that white facade and kind of add brick component to it to match some of the plaza. Let's see which one it is. Yeah, let's scroll down. So we put the brick layer on the bottom to match the rest of the retail spaces, and then brought the brick up on the pillars as well. Snow storage was also another comment, as that was the rear of that storage area was a spot for piling the snow. Talking to Kim and Wegmans, they're contractors. The snow plowing is under contract. And they are usually, piled up in the outer islands that are not, parking spaces that are not utilized. I guess with that, any questions?
I was just curious, were there any PRC comments, Josh, on that? I know it came up there, it was discussed.
I wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm.
Comments from,
We received PRC comments during sketch plan.
that was it.
Yeah, it was brought up again. Erica, do you recall any? I mean, I remember it was discussed at PRC, but I don't recall if there was anybody hit it. I think the sewer department made a comment, something about the sewer running through there or something, or?
No.
Sewer's private.
There's no impact on underground utilities, is there?
No,
Okay.
it's already a sanitary
that
stub in the front.
That was, okay.
Yep.
All right. Using existing space, I think it's come out nice. I think it's good.
It's gonna look a lot better than emptiness.
Yeah.
Made it look like a ghost town.
Yeah.
You fixed up the front, that looks much more attractive, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good. All right, anybody, anything?
The only suggestion, comment that I have is the recessed loading dock that you have. The recessed dock is 60 feet long. Your design vehicle is 69 feet, maybe consider 70 foot. That way you're not jackknifing the cab. So, just consideration.
No, preliminary final. Okay. All right, anybody, any concerns? We've looked at this sketch plan. Heidi, you're all right with it?
I'm good.
Derek, you're good?
I'm fine.
Okay. In this public hearing, if there is anyone here wishing to speak either for or against this? No one? Okay, it'd be noted that no one wished to respond for the public hearing, so we'll close it to the floor, bring it back to the board. Anybody, John, you okay?
Yeah, fine.
You guys are all, everybody's okay? Guess you guys did a good job.
Thank
All right, with that, we gotta do a secret. You wanna do a secret, Derek?
Yep. Town of Webster Planning Board considered a request by applicant Kim Gergen of Wegmans Food Market to enclose a portion of an existing former Chase Pickens outdoor space to create a new tenant space located at 900 Holt Road on a 28.7 acre parcel having SBL number 079.12-1-06.211 and in a high-intensity commercial district. The planning board classifies the proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617.5C2 of the state environmental quality regulations, and therefore is not subject to further review.
Okay, motion for that, need a second.
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
One question, when are you proposing to get started with this?
They're eager to be part of the plaza.
I'm sorry?
They're eager to be part of the plaza, so.
Oh, really?
Our approvals. We're actually working on a building permit application.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion for preliminary?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for preliminary approval for Sierra Trading Post located at 900 Holt Road. Subject to PRC comments. Subject to the Monmouth County Water Authority comments. All improvements to be constructed according to the specification of the town of Webster. All site work to be in compliance with the standards of the town of Webster. Comply with all requirements of any state, county, or town agency. Address drainage, lighting, signage. And that's about it.
Okay, Justin, what was it you suggested, extending it?
It's really at a discretion of the engineer, just a suggestion based on the truck that was shown there, and just looking at the recess.
You want them to look at that?
Just, it's at their discretion.
Put that in there then, to just, that they look at their loading area, to maybe have to enlarge it a few feet.
Okay.
That's, okay, that's the motion, okay, need a second?
Second.
John, okay, we have a motion and a second, go ahead.
All right, Mr. Malta?
Aye.
Mr. Kosel?
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman?
Aye.
Mr. Gassick?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina?
Aye.
Mr. Kashani?
Aye. Okay, well, go ahead, Dave.
Make a motion for final approval for Sierra Trading Post at 900 Holt Road, subject to project review committee comments. I don't know if there's any Parks and Rec fees, if there are, if applicable. Subject to preliminary approval conditions, subject to all applicable government fees, subject to Department of Public Works approvals. Significant construction shall occur within 1 year, is deemed by the planning board to expire on 6/3/2026. The conditions of the preliminary and final approval are depicted on the cover page of the final design plans. Subject to resolution of final approved minutes. Approvals are subject to drawing number is shown.
Okay, that's it?
That's a motion.
Okay, we have a motion for final approval, we need a second.
Second.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Malta?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Kosel?
Aye.
Mr. Gassick?
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman?
Aye.
Mr. Kashani?
Aye. Okay, you're all set. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Next item on the agenda tonight, Cobblestone Place Phase 2, located at 1025 Ravenside Lane. Applicant Evan Van Epps with Brickwood Management is requesting preliminary final site plan approval and a public hearing in association with the construction of a 3-story building containing 47 market-rate apartment units on a 5-acre lot located in a medium-high residential district under sections 26911 and 35014 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is Jake Helbrees. I'm with Marathon Engineering on behalf of Brickwood Management. We are proposing a 3-story, 47-unit market rate apartment facility. Give you a quick background since I know we've heard it a couple times. It was initially a 2-phase apartment complex, 2 60-unit senior living facilities. Phase 1 was built or approved in 2015, built in 2016. Phase 2 never got funding. So then Brickwood Management approached the property owner to purchase 1025. And from there, we came in for a sketch plan, and we're gonna go do site plan, and we found out that the lot was actually never subdivided. So then we went, and due to that, we then had to go get variances. So we got variances approved for the site on 3/13, and then followed with a subdivision approval on 4/3/25. Just a couple quick hits on the big parts of the facility. There's 87 spaces, 10 of which are in garages, which are underneath the apartment complex. We are working with the town now to review the existing SWIP that Pass Road did for the entire site. And we're gonna review that and have to resubmit a SWIP due to the new MS4 form, but we are gonna utilize what Pass Road did and make sure that there isn't anything that's changed in the past roughly 10 years in that, just to make sure that we are all proposing any green infrastructure. And we have received initial comments from the health department and Monroe County Water Authority, so we're working through those now as we work through approvals. And with that I'll take any questions.
As far as your parking spaces, do they meet the code okay, or did you have to get a variance for that?
That was one of the variances. So
It
we
was?
are at, the code is, I believe, I have it on here, 94, and we are proposing 87.
Okay, so it's.
And that was one of the variances that we, which is, I believe it's 1.8 spaces per unit, when the code is 2.
So, there's no question, I mean, this thing is jammed in there. There isn't a whole lot of space around. It's asphalt, pretty much. What about your snow removal? Josh, could you go back to the site? Thank you. Where would you be putting your snow in this case?
So our snow removal will be, I guess I'll use this kind of point. All back here, we're limiting, I think it's roughly around 10 feet. So all of this snow can be pushed to this back side, as well as along this portion of the parking lot.
But if there's cars parked there, how are you gonna get the snow back there on the other side of them?
That is a very good point.
I thought so too.
No, it's very true. Now, with that being said, we could, during the winter months, we could kind of take these spaces up front, I guess it'd be towards Raven side, block those off for snow removal, and then we'll be able to push everything that way. Kind of similar here is we'll be able to push down to this property line as well as across the kind of upper this section. And I can add those to the plans if needed.
For the record, for what you present for your final drawings that go into the town, you probably should show some place on there where you can put snow.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can add that, no problem.
Whether it works or not, that's another story, but it should be something on there showing it. All right. You got a picture of the building? This is basically the building you're proposing? The photograph you gave?
Yes, yep. That's the latest rendering, working with Bay Architects. And I kind of forgot to mention this, the footprint is extremely similar to the one that was proposed back with the 2015 plans. Obviously, architecturally, we've modernized it a little bit, but it still complements the existing building.
Okay.
And the parking, I got a question on the parking lots. The building that's up already, I see where their parking is, and then I see where your proposed parking is. Is there any designation for parking for each facility, or is this open parking for everybody?
So it is open parking, but with that being said, there is the property line that kind of cuts right along the hatching area. And there will be entrances, so traditionally, these parking lots will come in here and park here. These handicap spots will traditionally be used for the senior facility, and a lot of the back lot obviously will be. So it not necessarily is delineated visually. egress and to in front of your car, blend kind of how the existing facility and the proposed facility are.
So there's only one dumpster for all 47 units in the corner?
Yes.
Now, this isn't for senior housing, this is open housing.
Yeah.
Yes, yep, market.
So if you've got kids there and they've got bicycles and so on and so forth, where does this stuff go?
So, I guess where it would be stored, the garage, or we could actually include some bike racks. I guess it would probably be preferably towards the sides of the facility to just try to keep it away from the senior living facility. I know that was a public comment back.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to have something like, bicycle pet racks or
absolutely.
something to.
And I'll try to stage them.
Put them in, lock them or whatever.
Yep. And I'll try to stage them away, or at least as far as I can from the existing facility.
Okay, anybody any concerns or questions?
How many bedrooms are these units?
They are, I believe, 2-bedroom facilities, or 2-bedroom units.
Okay, anybody?
I mean, I think I'm a little concerned with the size of the dumpster, just with the amount that's gonna be produced there. If it's big enough, then also there's a call out there, chosen by owner for material. Is there a standard enclosure that should be provided as a detail for the actual dumpster enclosure?
I can work with Evan and Brickwood Management, whether it's we do increase the size of the dumpster or we say that the dumpster needs to be emptied every bi-week or twice a week per se, instead of kind of the traditional once a week. So I'll let Evan know that, and
That probably would work if you just more frequent dumps, emptying it. The structure around it, most of them are all masonry type.
That's what we're currently proposing.
That's proposed for this? Okay. So
But part of
the enclosure is a masonry enclosure on the.
I believe there's a detail in the plan.
It looked like it was picket fence. Right.
And is the recycling part of that?
I do not know that off the top of my head, but I can look into that for sure.
Yeah, you're showing a picket fence there, so let's call that a masonry structure.
Masonry.
Decorative block, something that's attractive,
Yeah.
Because that's only gonna last so long.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I'll get that detail switched over to show masonry block.
Were there PRC comments?
No, I guess.
So, because the SWIP is from 2010 and it hasn't been updated and provided to the town, we were unable to provide comments on it, obviously. So, basically, we do not have comments at this time, so we're waiting on the revised SWIP.
Right. I mean, some of my comments are engineering related, so I'll leave it to the discretion of an engineer if he wants to incorporate it. I didn't see in the plans hotbox details or the water cross section. Was that something that was submitted to the town?
Not currently, because we are working with the water authority to see how they want to tap that. We're thinking, unfortunately, that we are gonna have to run a almost duplicate line for our parcel, and then obviously for the 1023 parcel. So we're working with water authority now. We're gonna try to see if they will take ownership of the portion, so we only have to do a small tap and don't have to put in more infrastructure. But I think most likely we will have to do a hot box with kind of a mirrored water line. But that will be worked through with the water authority here in the next couple months.
I saw a couple of stop signs, but stop sign detail with striping detail is missing in the drawing, so if you could include that. Josh, if you wouldn't mind going to utility plan, I saw that you're using 12-inch PE perforated piping going underneath the roads. I was just wondering if there was a reason for running perforated piping 12-inch?
Yeah, we like to not have any I try to limit the amount of water that's stored in that subbase. The drier it is, the more, the better it helps. So kind of, instead of doing a main line with small stubs because the parking area isn't large, we're kind of doing one main where it's perforated so it can collect. Obviously, it'll keep the flow going to the existing facility, but it'll also keep that subbase dry and structurally sound.
I mean, it'll be up to discretion of engineer, but it'll make your calculation a little bit difficult for groundwater representation that's gonna go into your stormwater system and through basin. Because with a 12-inch pipe, you're gonna be collecting a lot of water too.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't think we have any high groundwater issues, but I'll definitely just confirm that.
Josh, if you wouldn't mind zooming in to what a water line is that goes into it, it's a 6-inch gate. Is that a valve going to the east, or is that just a sampling tap?
Oh, I see, mouse. Yeah, just a sampling tap.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright. I didn't know if you had another line going for some reason.
Nope, just our symbol for a sampling tap.
Alright, that's all my questions.
You're in for a preliminary final. You know, there's a few things here. I mean, if we move with preliminary, I think it'd probably be good to come back with the details we spoke of. Excuse me.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about the bike rack, we're talking about snow storage, dumpster enclosure, what else? I have a couple of notes on there.
I think the engineering component is going to be important too.
What's that?
The
Yeah,
engineering component.
we would recommend that the board not take action tonight of any kind until we have that material and have a chance to
And
review
preliminary
it.
also?
Correct. And also the seeker for this project was done on the overall golf tee project back in 2010. So the board isn't tasked with conducting seeker again because the project really hasn't changed all that much, but we'd like an opportunity to review the updated SWIP just to make sure everything's compliant.
All right, so we'll table this until the next meeting and hopefully you'll have completed drawings.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
can do preliminary finals all, then.
Yeah, okay. No, that's totally fine. I think Keith said he was gonna send over the existing SWIP and then we'll kind of mirror that and move on from there.
Okay.
And get that to you guys.
Were there any comments from the fire marshal?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I think we needed to confirm the overall height at the peak of the roof, just to make sure that the drive aisle along the south edge meets the fire code. So that was one thing he did mention.
That the building is sprinkled?
Yeah.
I just don't see hydrants around the building as well.
Probably a note in regard to that dumpster where we talked about the enclosure, but maybe there is something down, some sort of a schedule for, emptying.
Yeah, either we'll increase it or do that, is
Okay.
do the scheduling.
Alright, got that, we got, snow storage, dumpster, bike racks, what else was there? There was something else I mentioned. Anything else, can you think of?
Primarily engineering comments.
Well, engineering, yeah, that'll be through the engineering anyways. The town engineers would deal with that. Yeah, that was it, okay, good, alright, that's it, with that, then you're gonna request to be tabled to the next meeting, which is what,
July 1st.
July 1st?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
make a motion, John, to that?
Make a motion to, for Cobblestone Place Phase 2 at 1025 Ravenside Drive to July 1st. Table till July 1st.
Okay, there's a motion, and need a
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So it's tabled. Okay. And again, as public hearing, we'll leave it open
Yeah, yep,
to that point, okay.
awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, have a good night.
Last item on tonight's agenda, Finger Lakes Federal Credit Union located at 711 and 715 Ridge Road. Applicant Jason Stanley requesting preliminary site plan approval and a public hearing in association with the demolition of the existing structure, two-story residential dwelling, barn and garage, and the construction of a new 2,600 square foot banking facility with internal site parking on a proposed 2.26 acre lot located in a medium-intensity commercial district under sections 269-5 and 350-18 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob McFadden. I'm the president and CEO of Finger Lakes Federal Credit Union, and we're here to present our plans for 711 to 715 Ridge Road, which would be a new permanent home for our Webster facility. We're currently leasing space in the Webster Woods Plaza, and we merged with Webster Federal Credit Union back in 2020. And we're at the end of that lease, and we'd like to make it a permanent structure and redevelop that corner lot and be the new exciting permanent home for our location. With me is the engineer, architect, and the building manager for the project, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello again, Evan Gaffel, Cottage Engineering. So I'm just going to go briefly over the site plan. So it's almost a 26,000 square foot building. It's going to be located up on the northeast corner of the property at the intersection of Ridge and Hatch. The site has one access point from Hatch, 200 feet away from the intersection, single lane in, single lane out. The site design allows for 16 parking spaces. The building has 3 drive-up lanes with queuing of 9 vehicles, even though we don't anticipate queuing based on the counts that we've collected at other branches. There was a comment about the monument sign. We had it closer to the ridge than we were allowed, so I have revised a plan and sent it to Josh, meeting the setbacks and not requiring a variance for the monument sign. The stormwater system will utilize 2 infiltration basins, which will collect most of the runoff from the drive-through and the roof, and then a series of bioretention areas to the south for filtration and water quality. We have a SWIP, we submitted that, it's under review. So the site is designed to regulate the control, the runoff control and reduction volume, as well as peak rate. The stormwater ultimately discharges to the arch pipe on the southeast corner of the property. Once the creek used to flow through the rear of the property, it was diverted when Country Max was constructed, and it goes around Country Max and then continues on. Snow storage will be located on the west side of the parking area. We put a 0-inch reveal curb there so the plows can come in before the bank is open and push it out of the way. Other things, we've submitted to DEC as well as SHPO for the review. We received a no jurisdictional letter from DEC and a no impact letter from SHPO. And then if you have the building renderings, I will pass the torch.
Good evening. My name is Chris McConklin. I work for Studio 109 Designs. I am the design architect for this project. We're all very excited about it, getting it constructed. It's a very unique design, and we do think it speaks highly to the local community. Throughout the entire design, I used wind and water as my inspiration for this. Being on the lake, I'm assuming is a very important aspect of living in this community, and I wanted to respect that and show that in the design. Any questions on the design or the site plan at this point?
Well, want to know, the fact is, when you first came in with it and we met and showed us what you were doing, it did generate a lot of excitement. It was a nice looking project. I'm not saying this isn't, my opinion preferably was the other building, what you showed originally. It had a lot more style to it. Some major change on it.
Sir, it's the same building. There's no changes to it.
There is no change from this, from the original? I don't have a
No.
copy of the original one.
Probably a different rendering, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. I didn't put the color rendering on there, but that was that same.
It's the same thing?
yes, sir. Yes, what we're looking at on the screen is technical drawings. These are actually axonometrics, so they give it a certain perspective, but for
Okay.
understanding adjacency of materials and how everything ties in, this is a very effective tool. What you have in your hand there and the renderings we shared earlier is actually reflected in this as well.
I stand corrected. This is, I see it here now, I'm matching it to.
Yes.
Maybe I just don't like black and white, I like colors.
Well, it speaks volumes having a rendering,
It looks
so
good.
Duly noted.
renderings go a long way.
Yeah.
Well, we're very pleased that you are excited about the project just as much as we are.
It was a little, it's a unique approach. It seems like a typical frontage access is really your rear, and you have more of the advertisement of who you are, what would be normally a back of the building. So it's just, I was curious about the layout and that selection.
The intention behind the design was to put the building closest to the street, to the intersection, and allow the parking to live behind, but then understanding that you now have two fronts to the building.
Right.
You have the front that faces the intersection and bridge, and then you have the front that faces the parking field for the members. So addressing it the way that we addressed it with kind of a central atrium feature with entry points on one side, but the other side mimicking the entry point side at the parking area. And then using a lot of glass to allow a lot of natural light into the branch and to also represent the feeling of air, free moving space.
Have you guys ever considered, just curious, mirroring the building north-south so that the ATMs and tellers are on the west side of the building, giving you a little bit more of a queue approach when it comes to cars coming in?
We did actually analyze that, and we did Finger Lakes Federal Credit Union did a traffic analysis and transaction counts for walk-ins and drive-ups, and I actually have a printed copy here. And in no way will we exceed the 9 queuing spaces in addition to the 3 transaction spaces, so 12 total vehicles. For instance here, looking at the numbers they have for drive-up, I think the peak they had was on May 23rd, where they had 29 vehicles come into the drive-up. That's over the 9-hour period of the branch being open. And this is all from the Webster branch. So this is just, these are counts from just down the road. We don't see any need for any additional queuing. Having 9 stacking per lane is pretty standard for other jurisdictions. We also have the, we call it a bypass lane. Essentially, it's the last lane. The canopy doesn't extend over, fire trucks can go around, but it also, it's kind of like a pressure relief valve. So if somebody's pulling up and they see a lot of vehicles or they feel like it's taking too long, they have the opportunity to drive around, either leave or park and go into the branch.
Is that bypass wide enough for a fire truck spacing?
Yes, what you're seeing there is actually the concrete pavement, which is larger. Standing vehicles, you know, on asphalt will eventually sink, just due to the heat. So we like to have, when the cars are sitting in the drive-up, that they're on concrete pavement. So it is actually wider. Standard is typically 18 feet from the curb to curb at that final lane. So that'll leave you, 9 feet for the person doing the transaction, 9 feet for the one doing the bypass. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that we made that 20 feet. Is that right? Yeah. We made that 20 feet, so we've added 2 additional feet to it. And the canopy, just so you guys understand, the edge of the curb to the extension of the canopy only goes out 6 feet. We're only trying to build a canopy to break the midpoint of the vehicle, so that if there's any rain that's falling, it's not gonna roll into the window of the driver.
Okay. Can you go to the landscape drawing, Josh, on there? I'm looking at what you're proposing there. Excuse me. Right by the corner here, it looks like you have a little landscape area there. Right by the corner. Now, I think we talked one time about putting a berm with some landscaping or something ornamental there instead of that long plain strip along Ridge Road.
I'm gonna let Evan answer that question. I wasn't privy to the original conversation you guys had at the TRC.
Yeah, it was discussed at one of the meetings we had.
We did, and with moving that monument sign down, we'll spruce that up.
I mean, that's fine with the monument sign, I don't have an issue with that. But that stretch going west, all that right there. I like to use the example of Marina Dodge.
Yep.
How they maintain that in the front there. I don't say you have to have trees that big, I mean, this is over years, but they put a berm in there, it's nicely landscaped and,
Yeah, I
you
think,
know, something that's, I mean, this is one of the things years ago, we almost would have wanted to see a drawing showing every bit of that.
sure. And I think with the building, we, you know, and the excitement here, we want it to be
Yeah.
reflective and beautiful.
So,
I would like to just make one note, please, on this. Ridge is appropriately named because it's the highest point there, and then the sites slope off on both sides. So a berm with plantings and vegetation would only be visible from the credit union side, not necessarily from Ridge, unless it's taller type plantings. If you look down the road where Country Max is, I believe that's just grass, that area between their parking and Ridge.
yeah.
Is there any specific requirements for us to add in this additional landscaping?
Well, really, there's guidelines. Town has established guidelines, development and planning guidelines. It's a little pamphlet, town has. Anybody can get it. It's online also. One of the things that was looked for was how to, I don't want to say, ornament some of these areas. And again, I use as the example is Marina. It's a class act, what they did there.
Okay.
And it gets a lot of compliments. This is an open area. Building is nice, I think it's good, but I just would like to see that enhanced more. And that is one of the...
I just have two concerns here with the additional landscaping. One is along Ridge. I'm sure with the amount of snow, the trucks, the salting, that any planting that's adjacent to Ridge is gonna suffer. The second one is maintenance of this. That is typically a costly item for financial institutions to carry to maintain these plantings. So we will follow the guidelines in the zoning, but I don't think that we feel it'd be necessary to add additional plantings that are just most likely just gonna die.
Well, I'm just voicing what, in the past, what we've done. We had a fellow, Roger Johansson, he was a landscape architect. And he was paid by the town, you know, but reimbursed by the developers to design these things, what we wanted to see. And a lot of these things, that's how they materialized. The plazas, the one on, you know, where Coles and all that is, well, landscaping in there and so on and so forth. But I remember his big term was undulating berms. I mean, you know, just out there somewhere, I understand that. But something similar along those lines would definitely, I think.
He's a designer.
Yeah.
I understand exactly what you just said.
Yeah, that's it. And,
Yeah.
and this is what we use.
Okay.
So we've slacked off a whole lot on this stuff since then, let me tell you. So now just back to this, and I'm just seeing that little bit on the corner, and the rest is all grass.
We're gonna make a considerable investment in the building, so we're not gonna, not invest in the landscaping, all of that we want to come together. There are some challenges though, if you go down there, it's not just open, you know, it's there's a lot of trees and vegetation that's wild, you know. We need this approved before we can even do the clear cut to get to that. There isn't a lot of open flat ground. It doesn't go too far before it just falls right off.
Yeah, I'm very
So
familiar with it.
we have some challenges. We'd have to fill all that in before we could even landscape the outer western portion of that land. But yeah, I mean,
I'm just
around
wasting
our
time.
office,
I
we're
mean,
definitely gonna
it's up to
address
the
it.
board, not me.
We're definitely gonna address it. That'd be
Anybody have
great.
any comments or anything that you feel?
I would be concerned that if you're putting berming along there, you're gonna.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I think you're gonna affect the drainage of the site.
Yeah. Yeah, that's driving, I'm okay with that, but my point is just a ornamental shrub, something to,
Yeah, there's gotta be I mean, you have such a beautiful building, you wanna make it visible.
yeah.
We get that, but at the same time, it's gonna be a lot of grass, that's just gonna be bare grass. And then the question is, can we do something just to make it a little bit more visually pleasing as people are coming up to your new, brand new facility, whether they're like lilac bushes or some juniper trees or something that gives it a little bit more color, but also gives you that visual aspect of we want to make sure that this facility is seen as people are driving on Ridge Road, because that's the intention ultimately.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, we'll have the whole landscape architect, you know, design that for us as well. And that will be part of the eventual plan.
Okay, so right now, actually, you're in here for just preliminary, I think it's. I'm sorry?
Yeah, we didn't have a chance to review the SWIP yet, so.
Okay, all right, so we can do preliminary, and then with final, maybe you can show.
No, I would advise the board not to move forward with
Not
preliminary.
at all?
Not tonight.
Okay, the SWIP review. I did have some quick questions, so you mentioned that snow storage is primarily on the west side, but at least what I'm seeing here, it looks like there's a curb on the west side. I see there's a small opening where there's a transitional curb, but is that stretch there not gonna have a curb at all, it's just gonna be grass, or?
The start of the 0-inch reveal is from the stop bar leaving the drive-through on the west side, all the way over to, it's that whole kind of corner of that parking lot.
Okay, so from there going south is gonna be essentially flush, so
Yeah.
you can plow it.
Correct.
And going even further south to where the parking lot is, so that you're plowing there as well, or?
Correct, yeah, that whole corner is to push it
Alright.
on that side.
Do you have dumpster enclosures or anything you're proposing in this? Garbages?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
Financial institutions handle a lot of confidential documents.
Yeah.
Most of the trash that they actually produce gets put into shred bins within the branch, and they're securely taken away by like companies like Iron Mountain and shredded off-site. When it comes to like trash from employees or trash from members, lunches, cleaning crews come in, they bag the trash, and they actually haul it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
No need for a dumpster, by the way.
No need for a dumpster.
I saw the rendering has a flagpole, and I think there's a spot on here for a flagpole, but there wasn't a detail. If you could have a detail for a flagpole. I saw detail for ladder bar pavement markings, as in for a crossing, but I didn't know where that was being proposed on the drawings. Are you indicating a crossing somewhere or no? It's just a detail that needs to be removed.
It was probably most likely a standard detail, like a boilerplate detail.
Okay. The rendering shows timber enclosure for the generator pad area, but I'm not seeing anything on the site plan. Are you looking to do any kind of enclosure of the generator?
Yes, we will be looking to fence in the generator.
Okay. Detail for that one, and then the rendering also showed what looked like a really nice PVC fence or timber fence on the south side along the buyer retention where the parking lot is. Is the intention to have that there?
We went through the process of reorienting the site. I'm sure the board is fully aware of the difficulties we had coordinating with Country Max.
Yeah.
So as you can see, we are no longer accessing any of Country Max's existing drives. And with the site being rotated, it must have gotten lost. But yeah, we will have a, like, I think it's like a split rail, like a split rail
I was
fence.
more so thinking because it does drop off there, so if you want to have something to
Yeah, so
visually
people
block
don't.
somebody
Yes.
And then, are you doing any striping for like ATM teller or where you're accessing the tellers to designate them?
On the canopy,
On the
as people are driving up, there's actually illuminated signage that says, you know, ATM, and then usually the other lanes would have open or closed.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, green or red sometimes.
I think a bank has restrictions or conditions for lighting also, for exterior lighting, right?
Yes, in New York State, in the
Yes.
state, it is 50-foot candles within a certain distance of any ATM that is accessible.
But hopefully you keep it on the site, downlit, not cast out, you know.
Yes, this ATM is
Road.
located underneath the canopy,
Okay.
so the illumination will be adequate. And the canopy, all the lighting is pretty much downward facing.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Just two last things, if you could add a stop sign detail with striping. And then, there's a random concrete pad on the south side of the parcel. Is that something that is,
That might be an existing one.
yeah,
They're an old concrete structure that
right
used to
there?
be there.
Yeah, is that a structure or is that,
That's in the dry creek bed.
okay.
I don't know what that is.
Concrete pad is all
Yeah,
it
it's
says.
an existing concrete pad.
It's gonna remain there?
Maybe somebody had it for like a lawn chair so they can fish in the creek.
Pretty big concrete pad, so.
Yeah.
Well, it's in this easement, and I didn't know what it was for, I was just curious if you were taking it out or if that has a purpose to being there.
This site had a very storied life as a farm. I'm sure everybody here is aware of that. There was a lot of accessory structures on this lot, and a lot of the foundations for those accessory structures still exist today. And I do know that the credit union wants to remove them.
Now, there's a lot of trees there to the west of it. Are any of those standing, or are they all coming out?
We are not clear cutting the entire site.
Okay,
The intention is to actually keep most of the wooded area that we can
that's good, yeah.
as kind of a separation from country max.
Gotcha.
And that was something decided on way early on before we even started having conversations with country max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we wanted to have the branch sited at the corner of Ridge and Hatch. And then anybody that was traveling on either of those roads can see the branch, and then behind the branch would be the large mature vegetation that's there today. So essentially remove only what we really have to remove.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we're gonna hold this off, table it until
May I ask a question?
July 1st? Yes, sir.
How come we can't go in for preliminary approval? Why?
Well, that's what I was thinking, but Josh is saying some of this information is, he knows better than I do that.
Yeah, the SWIP, the Stormwater Management Plan, has not been reviewed fully by town staff. It wasn't submitted along with the rest of the application, so we didn't have an opportunity to review it.
Okay.
And, you know, upon reviewing it, it might precipitate changes to the design. So we just want to make sure that the SWIP that was provided is compliant before the board grants any approvals.
Would the changes to the design be just increasing the size of the stormwater retention areas?
Potentially.
What other impacts would you see if the SWIP is not in a favorable condition?
Well, again, I don't want to speculate because I haven't had a chance to review it. But yeah, we would want to confirm that a stormwater pond isn't necessary. That's one example, opposed to the treatments that are being proposed here. So we just want to make sure that what is being proposed complies with the regulations before the board makes any decision.
Okay. I do have kind of a special request. And I know this is an outlier, oddball request. Obviously, it's June. We're looking at 2 additional meetings, because we would have to have a preliminary and a final.
Actually, if you've got all your stuff up to date and all this is resolved, the SWIPs and everything, we could do preliminary and final the same night, so you're no further behind, you know what I mean?
So there's a chance at the July meeting that we could get preliminary and final?
Very good chance.
Correct.
Okay, I thought there was a notification process to the local community for giving them an opportunity to be notified of what the development is, who's going there, and what they plan on doing. Has that already occurred?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Has
part
the
of this
time,
meeting.
has the time period expired on that?
That's why there's been a sign on the property there and everything.
Okay, excellent. So the special request is, we're looking at construction going into winter with asphalt plants closing,
Yep.
concrete paving not curing properly. The request is, instead of having concurrent approvals, and hear me out, can we submit to the building department the current set of construction documents we have? Not so they can review and approve, just so they can review, so that when we are granted approval, hopefully in July, we can then get the building permit quicker because they've already done their legwork. Like, they can hold off sending us comments, but they've already done all that review period. That will save us a month of time, which in terms of pavement and construction costs going into winter is really gonna help getting this branch open in time. We have a deadline with their lease running out in their current space.
Sure.
And we definitely wanna get this built and get the members adjusted to the new location and bring the staff over as well. We don't want anybody like laid off or unemployed. So all we're asking for is just, can this be a parallel path versus concurrent approval?
Correct. I'll leave that up to the engineering.
That would be a staff determination, and I think we can work with you on that. We've done that before, so that if and when the board finally issues the approval, the building department can issue the permit more promptly. Yes, we can work with you on that.
Perfect, thank you very much. Truly appreciate it.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions?
I guess that's it. You've got the information and, you know, I'm sure you took notes of what we were talking about. So that's pretty much it. So we'll table this until July 1st.
Perfect, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Make a motion, we got
I make a motion for Finger Lakes Federal Credit Union at 711, 715 Ridge Road to table it till July 1st.
Okay, motion, need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're tabled. Okay, good luck. We'll see you guys.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May the 6th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May the 20th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm hoping, guys, you guys are reading these minutes and sending in corrections. I don't know, you know. Ready to get
There
them?
they are.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
That is very good. Okay, with that, I guess we're all set for this evening. Thanks for coming in.